my fellow readers, is I, Dark Symphony 777, back with another fanfiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, and leave a comment in the comment section on your thoughts below. And finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So we're going back to the Super Koopa series because, guess what? I promised the author that I would review the entire series. Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I wanted to help her out as much as I can, so I thought, hey, let me offer. Hey, you want me to review the entire series? She went yes, and so here we are. But now we are reviewing episode 2, called Soul Swap. It is another adventure humor story, as befitting of the whole cartoony aspect of it. I did get confirmation that the stories are supposed to be like very, very cartoony based. So see these stories when you read them to keep that in mind. So all right, let's go. So the plot actually starts not with the Koopalings, but with a random Koopa Troopa who's just cleaning up, waiting for the store to close, so that way he can just go home. Where he gets ambushed by a Duplagos, the Duplagos from the Paper Mario series, those things. I'm wondering why they haven't made an appearance in the main series yet. And so afterwards, we go to everyone's favorite musical-themed composer Koopa, Lemmy. Oh, and Ludwig's there too. Ludwig's there too. And Ludwig is humming a song, and Lemmy's like, hey, I want to tell you a joke. It's like, no. Please, no. Please, no. No. Look at my fabulous hair. No. And so they kind of goof off, and then they find out about, and then they kind of get roughhouse a little bit, and they run into the other Koopalings. Then they meet the now not really described the Koopa that was body was taken by the Duplaghost, and then the Koopalings go to fight the Duplaghost. All right, that's fine. And then Lemmy and Ludwig's bodies switch because of shenanigans. And so the majority of the story is just Ludwig and Lemmy trying to cope with them in their own ways. Like, it's fine. Nothing spectacular. But what it's trying to do is tell a simple story. Like, really, the story is only like 29,000 words, and in this type of story, we're trying to tell like a simple cartoony-esque, just a single episode thing. 25 to 30,000 is around the average length that you want to succeed. So in terms of like plot, get everything condensed in under 30,000, but also still being coherent enough to kind of tell what you need to do. It's actually really good. So I have no complaints with the plot. It's like the plot literally ends with Lemmy learning how to use Ludwig's powers because he has like levitation, he has pyrokinesis, he has like power of levitation, levitation, telekinesis, and lightning. And so, and they're trying to just get used to their bodies and stuff like that. And the story ends with like them kind of learning about each other. And then Ludwig offering Lemmy, said, hey, you want to help me with this song? It's like, yay! And so they kind of learn from each other. It has a very simple premise, but the author makes that premise work in the amount of time that we are seeing the story, because again, these stories are supposed to be like very, very bite-sized. So you're not really going to be wasting a lot of time going through the story. Like, you're there, you're done, like that. Honestly, if it wasn't for work, I literally would have been able to finish this like an hour, but I've been like either sleeping or I've been at work. But yeah, so it's a very, 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 very quick story. So take it as character development. There's only really 2 characters. There's Ludwig, Lemmy, and I guess you can kind of count the Duplaghost, but not really. These 2 main characters are fine. Like, yeah, they're very basic characters, but going back to that whole cartoony vibe, it works because, of course, whenever you get to a new episode, it characters kind of, I guess the term you can say is like soft reset because of how cartoons work. Because cartoons, unlike like syndicated shows or anime, they don't often go into like a actual overarching story where you have to watch it in a specific order. This one's just like you can like watch it in any, you can, I guess in this case, read it in any order you want to, and it still kind of makes sense because again, it's cartoony. It's a cartoon. You're reading it like you're watching a cartoon. So as the characters, in the sense that it's a cartoon, they work because they're very, very basic. They're very, very like, okay, here's like the flat line, here's what they go through, and here's the end result. That's it. That's as simple as you can get in the type of story the author is trying to do, and it works. So there's nothing really wrong with them. These characters. Grammar errors, the only grammar error I saw, I think, was in chapter 14. I think it was chapter 14 or 15. Can't remember the specific chapter. It was when I think Ludwig was trying to teach Lemmy how to fly, and the author accidentally spaced the word yes. Guess. I don't know why I'm adding that T unnecessarily. And that's pretty much it. In terms of the writing style, it's a very basic writing style. Again, it works in this case because the writing style is supposed to emulate that cartoony feel. So it's very zany, it's very over the top, it's very fast paced. So it works. It's a fun little story. That's again, you finish, you read it, you start it, you end it, done. There's no time to think about it. It's just endlessly entertaining short stories. There's not really a lot of like deep thoughts. There's not really a lot of like careful character moments of them going into like a deep talk unless absolutely necessary. Because of how the story works. So I don't know how the author has done this crazy idea, but it does it. But she has done it in a way that is completely flawless in its presentation. And finally, pacing. I accidentally inadvertently said the pacing and the grammar error. Pacing is it's fast. And it blinks. It's a blink of a miss. There's everything zooming around. Again, the author is emulating a classic cartoon feel, so it makes a lot of sense for it to go very very fast. It doesn't really slow down unless you absolutely have to. So it makes sense for the story to be incredibly fast paced because you want everything because again, you're going under the time frame that you're trying to finish this within a certain frame of words, and also try to make sure it's like, okay, can we make it so that it doesn't drag on? But if we make it way too fast, it would just be like nothing. Hence why I say usually these types of stories would belong in like 25 to 30,000. That's like the sweet point. Anything shorter, it would just be way too fast. Anything longer, it would possibly just drag. But as it stands right now, the pacing, the characters, the plot, the grammar, aside from that little guest thing in the chapter, everything is as it should be. Pretty good, but not great. Because, again, but that's more of a personal thing. It's like, personally, if I add the bias, I would personally say I'm not a fan. But once you take out the bias, because as a critic, you have to take out the bias, because if you get the bias, then you're asking for trouble. You're asking for, hey, this story might be good. With being a critic, you have to empty out any and all biases, so that way you try and objectively clear your mind, and therefore be able to be more honest with not only yourself, but also the people you're trying to tell this with. But I will say, if I did have my bias, I wouldn't personally be a fan. But with the bias off, it is a solid story. It does nothing spectacular. It does nothing really good, but as as a concept piece for what it's trying to accomplish, it does that very well. And that's why I have to recommend it. But I will say this little caveat. If you go into this story without the mindset that this is supposed to be like a cartoon, the story won't work. Nothing about the story will work. Nothing about the plot, nothing about the characters, nothing about the pacing. All of it will completely fall apart. So I only recommend it under the mindset that you walk into the story not expecting an actual story, but expecting a cartoon. Because that's what the story is. It's a cartoon. And if you don't go into that mindset, then nothing about the story will just plain old work. Nothing will work. And that kind of leverages into my favorite part, which is actually the Bowser cameo. This is only a small story again. Nothing really much. So what happens in the Bowser cameo? I believe it happens where the Koopalings are confronting these three gangsters who are graffitiing over the Bowser's castle. Lemmy in Ludwig's body is basically trying to figure out how to use his power. So he's trying to use levitation to fly around. The bullies grab Lemmy and throw him into Ludwig. Oh my god, I'm confusing myself. They grab Ludwig in Lemmy's body, throw him at Lemmy in Ludwig's. God, Ludwig and Lemmy. I'm just getting tongue-tied over that. They throw Ludwig, who was in Lemmy's body, into Lemmy, who was in Ludwig's body, and they kind of fly down all around the castle. And a blink of a miss, they kind of pass by Bowser, and Bowser's asking Kamek the most important question. It's think I should buy my son a nation. And I actually laughed at that because it was just completely out of nowhere. None of the other humor kind of stuck with me because I just didn't find it funny. But that single joke was actually the standout because it was unexpected. It fit the scene. It fit what it was trying to do. It was just plum fun. Honestly, you could just picture you could picture Bowser all right, what nation should we give my son? Should we give him the Mushroom Kingdom? No. What about Star? No. Why not Star Thailand? Remember what happened in Mario Party 3? Yeah, you're right. Jewel Kingdom. What? You know Jewel Kingdom. It's that one time when Mario shot me with guns. Lots and lots of guns. It could work. The Waffle Kingdom. Now you're just making shit up. I'm sorry, my helplessness. You're making shit up. I'm not making shit up, Kamek. Where did you even hear about the Waffle Kingdom? From some book. What book? This book. The Adventures of Luigi. This is just complete hogwash. It was not. I just see the conversation going like that. Is there anything I would change about the story? No. Again, it's a solid enough story that doesn't need any changing, because if you change anything about it, you risk compromising what makes the story work. Because again, that cartoony flavor. You slow the pacing down, you risk extending the story far beyond what it needs to be. You risk adding in deep characters. There's so many ideas that theoretically could work, but can't work in this context. So, Soul Swap Redux, it's a very good story at what it's trying to do. Personally, not a fan, but I can appreciate the fact that the author is sticking with this cartoon idea and trying to just get as good as she can with it. And for what it's worth, I have to say this is just a phenomenal looking idea, because I have done a sort of series sort of thing with the Big O anime involving a season 3 before, so I can appreciate what the author is trying to do by doing a very cartoony take. It's think of the Loud House. if someone made like a random episode, like made it that's like would it make sense in the context of being like an episode of Loud House? It would, because it's fast paced. It would have a lot of characters. It focus on like one or two characters, and just be a lot of fun. That's what this story is. It's like it actually with this episode in particular. I don't know why I'm like continuously just pointing off to the side. I don't know why I'm doing that. Maybe I'm like still imagining Bowser just trying to convince Kamek. It's like, no, the Waffle Kingdom's real. No, it's Luigi. It's like, it's real. You believe the man in green? Why? What's wrong with Luigi? He's like a banana. So am I. How so? Mario gets to sleep with the princess. What does that have to do with giving your son a nation? I want to give him a mom. Oh, Miyamoto! Just go, Bowser. What? Go home. Go home. I am home. You know what I mean. Just I don't want to bend you over my knee and spank you with my wand. Don't make me do that. But don't ever do that. I don't know why I went farther with that. I'm so sorry. My mind just goes places that should never be revealed to the light of day. Never. So anyway, like I said, if this show with this episode, it's actually giving me a lot of loud family vibes. That's honestly what the story is reminding me of. And I think that's not a bad comparison to make, because Loud Family is actually a pretty good cartoon. I actually like the Loud Family. I think it's I still think it's fun. It still has some weak moments, but you know, every cartoon has at least one or two episodes that not everyone's gonna like. That's just difference of opinion. But I do like, and I'm gonna end the video after this. I do like what the author is trying to do. There's even like a little Easter egg, because I think the song Ludwig is like trying to write is an actual song that Starlit Duck actually made. I don't know for sure. I'm not 100% sure. But I think there's a little nice touches. There's a lot of little touches of like them actually having characters. But again, like if we get another episode that focuses on one of them, it's gonna soft reset, and there's a chance they just may forget everything, because that's how cartoons work. But final thoughts are, I like the vibe, I like the idea, and I like the fact that the author is pushing this idea and trying to refine it as best she can. And I don't know how good the original episode 2, because I'm specifically reviewing the revamped version, the upgraded version, but I actually really like the idea, the core concept, the very Loud Family vibes. If the author keeps on this track, then I say you may have something. Like, you may legitimately have something. Sure, I may not be a fan of it, but as a critic, I can appreciate the talent that you're trying to do. I can appreciate what the author is trying to accomplish with these types of stories, because that's what a critic's supposed to do. It's supposed to show, hey, the author has a pretty good idea and it's being executed. I may not like it, but I won't deny to give credit where credit's due for an idea that's being done well. And that's what this story is. It's a good idea being done well. I just personally don't like it. So that is Soul Swap Revamped. Next, I will see you next time. So this has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.